All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. We're back with more Marvel's Road to Avengers Endgame MCU reviews, where we're doing every Marvel movie in chronological order leading up to Avengers Endgame, and we have finally made it up to Thor Ragnarok. So full spoilers if you have not seen this movie. I consider Thor Ragnarok's original trailer to be like one of the best trailers in my opinion. Don't remember being that psyched up for a movie that I didn't know how I was going to feel about it. Like Infinity War, look, it didn't matter what that trailer was going to look like. I was in. But not a lot of trailers make me reconvince myself that I like the franchise that they're talking about. Now, like, this is a cog in the wheel of the MCU. But Thor's movies, I love Thor. I love Chris Hemsworth. I like Tom Hiddleston. I like the world. I think it's great. But the Thor movies are kind of considered, some of the weakest stuff. But that Thor Ragnarok trailer turned me the fuck around so hard. I still get chills. Again, like Spider-Man Homecoming's opening. As soon as Led Zeppelin kicked in, this beginning is great. They throw us into the action, and it's funny, and what I call like Thor Ragnarok just really leans into the weird and crazy cosmic stuff. That this is like I'm not surprised that there were rumors that Taika Waititi was going to do Guardians 4 or 3 because he's got it. Guardians and Thor Ragnarok have similar tones and colors and things like that, and humor. But I'm glad that they've worked that out. But just this movie, just said, we got to change Thor. We've got to do something better with Thor. And what better than to give us the story of what was going on with Thor and Banner during that time that everything else was going to hell on Earth. And it's just such a fucking fun idea. And Taika Waititi is just, look, I'm not going to call him the perfect director for this, because there's still elements of the other movies in here. But he does a really good job at changing a formula and just, like I said, leaning into the weird, leaning into the crazy. And so, we might as well just jump into this. So, I really liked Carl Urban in this. When we get introduced to him, he's really funny as Scourge. But then the rest of his arc is pretty much just, he's letting things happen. He stood there while everyone else died. And now he has to eventually come around. Now, Scourge in the comics used to be universally known as just a mad dog killer. They kind of softened him up in this. He looks the same. And in the comics right now, he's like a member of the Asgardians of the Galaxy, which I've only read one issue of that. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's weird. Again, it takes a group of Asgardians and that doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about that. But Scourge normally is kind of an unsympathetic character. In this, they make him just hilarious and really into Midgard. I mean, Des and Troy, the shake weight, the whole fact this is my stuff. I know I'm talking about. I'm trying to go by everything else in this, because the beginning of this, what else do I have to say? It ends. I mean, it has him using the dragon as a paperweight for Mjolnir. He rips the dragon's head off. It splatters. I mean, there's just so many cool things in this. When he calls Texas Tex ass. The 80s synth music is really perfect for the tone of this movie. I also really like the whole passion play that they're doing with Matt Damon, one of the other Hemsworths, Sam Neill, and Anthony Hopkins sitting there hamming it up. But we all know it's like Loki, or if this was your first Thor movie, God, It's really, really funny how Loki, sees himself and sees how, we always, we don't always say, but people don't always see themselves as the villains. And so he's making himself the hero because he feels, I think he knows what he did was wrong, but he'd rather kind of see it from his own perspective. And I don't know. Loki is pretty insane in my opinion. But I love the entrance there. I love it when he's like, "Oh shit!" when he realizes Thor's back. Uh, I also love the line like that Thor says to Loki about, or Loki's like, "I can't do those kind of things. I'm not a witch." And Thor goes, "Well, why do you dress like one then?" That's when they first get to New York. I love that. Doctor Strange in this. He's a little different in this. The way he kind of acts is different, but he's definitely a player. Since we've seen him, he knows shit. I mean, he knows where Odin is. He has the whole lore appears down. You know what I mean? Like, he's not just sitting here like, "Who are you guys? What do we do?" Like, no, man, he knows what's going on. But one of the cool things that I like about this, when I say that Doctor Strange seemed different, I like that some of these movies can give us different interpretations of different characters depending on who's directing, the tone, the writing. We can see different sides to characters we didn't, because that's what I feel like we're getting here is like a completely kind of different tone for Doctor Strange's character in this than we see in other movies. And it kind of reminds me of how artists and writers for comic books during their runs of stories, each can look and sound and feel different depending on the story they're telling. And that's what I feel like happens here with Doctor Strange. And it's cool that they're doing things like this. Maybe not intentionally, but that's how I'm choosing to see it, is depending on the director, in this case, instead of a comic book writer or artist or anything, we're getting to see, oh, well, you get to have Doctor Strange in this movie. Okay, well, then I'll do this with him. Make him a little more fun, because he doesn't seem as... This whole scene seems a little less serious than anything in Doctor Strange. But it's really, really cool. Doctor Strange and Loki. What's really cool about the end of this scene, when Loki kind of turns on him and starts to call him like, you low rent, whatever, magician, sorcerer. In the books recently, Loki was actually the Sorcerer Supreme. He took that spot from Doctor Strange. And so in the comics, they do have a history, and I would really love for them to revisit that history quite a bit, right? So I'm hoping that they can, down the line, maybe work in a little bit, maybe not a whole story, but work in a little bit of the Loki Doctor Strange kind of competition, because Loki is himself kind of into, he's into magic and stuff. But once Doctor Strange takes Thor and Loki to where Odin is, this is where I want to talk about Odin for a second. Anthony Hopkins, he's fine as Odin. There's nothing, straight up wrong with him. But he's way off, in my opinion, than the way that they do him in the books. He's still kind of like the Kenneth Branagh version of Odin, this very Shakespearean Odin. And in the comics, he can be very, over the top of Shakespearean. But in this, he's just so subtle. He's so subtle, and Odin is anything but subtle, in my opinion. He can be sitting still, and you could still feel his presence. And so the way he kind of goes out in this is it's a little bit different than I'm used to, especially since Odin these days has been kind of a big deal, except, spoilers for comics, Odin apparently dies in War of the Realms #1. Same as Loki, actually. But both of them, the interpretation is really, really different. It's not bad, it's just different. But then we also get our introduction here to Cate Blanchett's Hela, who, to me, she's having fun, she's shattering it up, she's having a good time. But her character really is just there to stand there and go, why doesn't anybody know who I am? I need to kill people. I need to find this thing. And basically, she just kind of stuck on Asgard this whole movie. And so it would have been cool to see her get to interact more. All she really gets is she's just stuck there looking for the people. She can't find them because Heimdall's got them all. And honestly, they just don't do enough with her. She comes in and just kills the Warriors 3. The first two, it's embarrassing here a little bit, because I don't have anything against the Warriors 3, and they really didn't give them too much to do in any of the movies. But to go out like they do, the first two, one played by Zach Levi and one played by Ray Stevenson, Balder and I don't know whatever Zachary Levi's character's name was. I can't remember. They just go down like punks. And I thought Asgardians were supposed to be a little bit harder to kill than they are in this movie. Well, I don't want to talk to Chris Stuckman. But anyway. Okay, I'm having technical issues as usual. But yeah, and then the third one gets to like, kind of fight, but not really. We get to say goodbye to Mjolnir, which in the trailer was like the biggest thing, like smash. Like him without Mjolnir throughout this whole movie is pretty great. Actually, it's a cool thing to do to Thor. I mean, it's not cool to Thor, but it's cool little thing that kind of make Thor realize that he's more than the hammer. Made me think of Spider-Man Homecoming, where you're more than the costume. When he gets to Sakaar, though, Sakaar, again, like, it's in the comics, but this is another interpretation of it. Sakaar's like this desert gladiator planet, not a junk planet, and the Grand Master wasn't in charge. But it's cool, though. Again, interpretations, the way that they do it, combining stories, adding new characters to fit that story, which I really like, because the Grand Master, even though in the comics his face is blue, if you can get Jeff Goldblum to play the Grand Master, who fucking cares? But when they take him, though, I love that. Well, first I like Valkyrie's introduction into this movie. Tessa Thompson has become a pretty big deal. She's in everything, and I like her in almost all of it. And I love her entrance here. I mean, she's gorgeous, she's pretty, she's a warrior, she's drunk, she falls off her own ship. I just love it. When he does get put in that chair, then I love that they're not even trying to hide that they're giving an homage to Willy Wonka. But also just, fuck it, we're going to do a Willy Wonka tunnel scene here. We're just going to put, like, like, it's just, again, leaning into the weird and crazy. Even playing the music and Thor's reaction to everything and just screaming by the end of it, I love. And then it's just Jeff fucking Goldblum standing there. And it's just... DJ Grandmaster, I wrote down. I'm not going to repeat every single line that Jeff Goldblum says, but everything pretty much is gold. They just said, read it like we want you to. You know what we mean. This is where we also meet Korg, who is played by Taika Waititi. I think he's, like, a lot of people really, really like Korg. I think he's fine. I think he's cute. He breaks the tension, all that shit. But, man, it really wants me to fucking play goddamn. Anyway. Let's just go back to this instead of dealing with that. All right, so then we get Korg's fine. I do like the line where he's saying, like, describing what the hammer does for him, and it's like, the hammer pulls you off. Like, they throw in a little jerk off comment in there. I just love it, because most kids are just it's gonna go whoo. Thor talking to Tessa Thompson later, where he's trying to be up with women. Hey, yeah, oh, good for you, and it's about time, and all these things, because this movie came out like right around the Me Too movement start. But we also get our Stan Lee cameo here. Again, it's really cool. Just seeing him, it's so sad. But he got to not just like see, he didn't just get to create this world, but to be able to see it all come about. Now, I don't know, maybe he got to see some Avengers Endgame. He did get to see Infinity War. He got to see the snap, right? And so, I mean, that's the culmination of so much work. He probably got to see Ant-Man. I'm sure he got to see Captain Marvel. I hope he got to see Endgame, or parts of it, before he passed. But it's just realizing as you get closer and closer to Endgame, we're done with Stan Lee cameos. Maybe not. Probably not. In fact, I definitely think they should work in a Stan cameo every chance they get in these movies. Loki's reaction to seeing the Hulk for the first time, and then when Thor gets like smacked around and stuff. All these little touches are really great, and that's what Taika Waititi does. These kind of little funny improvised moments that I really, really dig. The little just asides that they do in this movie. When Thor's trying to get him to be like, calm down, and then be like, hey man, the sun's getting low. It's getting real low, and just what's gonna happen, but you just love it anyway because this is an epic fight. I really wish. I mean, if I had the money, I would just go to Disney myself. I'm not kidding. I would do this out of pocket. If I was like, if money was no object, I would pay them to hire the guys who write the Peter Griffin and the chicken fights, and just have them write a short, like a little short movie of just the Hulk and Thor fighting. I'm talking like maybe like a 10-minute short where you get Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo, and they just beat the shit out of each other for like 10 minutes. And like kind of Peter and the chicken. I would watch that all the time. And I know that that's silly and everything, but that's what I want to see. I wanted this fight to keep going, and so I want it. I want it. I like it when he tells him that you're embarrassing me, man. I told these people we were friends. Idris Elba in this movie, I know that he's been saying that he didn't like it or whatever. I don't know what he experienced, but I look at Idris Elba in this movie. Now it's 3 movies deep, his career and where he is in his career in this movie, and I feel like, yeah, Idris Elba's a star. It's a shame that, that they killed Hemdell. I think it was probably a necessary death. But honestly, what I want to see is Idris Elba be Blade. I think he'd be a great Blade. Because we can't, maybe they retcon Luke Cage, but I don't think he's right for Luke Cage. But I do think he'd be a great Blade. I do think he might be a little old. You might want to get somebody a little younger, but I mean, I'm trying here. I'm trying to think of something for Idris to do. If he doesn't like Hemdell, be Blade, man. They give you like a 3-movie deal. Think about it. Somebody get on this shit. Get him to be Blade. Because we really do need that to come back. When he sees Hulk's wiener, that's in my brain now. When Grandmaster is trying to get Loki and Valkyrie to who's gonna get Hulk back for him, and it's like, well, I'll do it in like 12 hours. I'll do it in 2. And he just looks at her again like, I'll do it in 1. Like this little competition I love. The snake story. Where Thor tells the story of how he turned into a snake and then like tricked him and came back and it's like, it's really me, and then he stabbed him. And they say it with like, oh, it was just like a Tuesday. You know what I mean? But everybody else is looking around like, Jesus Christ, you guys are fucking crazy. And I feel like Thor's daddy issues kind of resemble Tony's in a way. Both are guys that were like captains of industry and war. Odin's industry being like a god, like taking over things, but like Howard Stark also had his own kind of empire going, and both of them reached a certain point and realized that what they're doing is destroying things, and then they decided to calm down and stop it. But then the demons from the past keep coming up. For Howard, it turns out that he makes Tony's life harder in the future because of things he did, and in this case, Odin has done things like banish Hela and everything to cover up his stuff. I just think it's kind of interesting that we have a lot of the same themes going out through these movies. And the rest of it's really great. I mean, when I first reviewed this movie, I was so hyped up, and it didn't live up to the hype the initial time. And I was really disappointed in how I just thought it was okay. Now, like, it's one of those movies that for me just took like a 2 or 3, extra times to really, really see it all. Or maybe only 2 more times, but this one didn't have me initially. I had to see it at home before I really accepted this movie for the wonderful, wonderful awesomeness that it is. And I like that Ragnarok comes. This whole thing we knew was going to happen, but like they were just basically, and it's kind of a cliched story of they caused the thing that they've been trying to avoid and they didn't see it. And you could say, Jesus Christ, that, they never see it in these kind of situations. Like, oh my God, we just did the thing that we weren't supposed to do. But it's a really fun movie. It has great music, great performances. It really leans into the weird. I can't wait to see what Taika Waititi does next. Besides What We Do in the Shadows, which we do review here if you want to check those out. Ruffalo you know, I've been trying to think, like, all these, since I'm off trailers and I don't like watching these predictions and why this and why that, I did notice, like, when the dog bit Hulk, I don't know if maybe that is something important. Because why have him bite the Hulk if you didn't have to, like, if it wasn't going to come back around? Like, maybe something in the dog's, like, venom in it, or like in its blood or something, maybe was causing him to not be able to change. Because he's an undead dog, right? He's like this zombie dog, so maybe something in that caused the change to freeze up. I don't know. I'm grasping. I'm trying to think of things that make sense. But that's about it. It's way better than I initially liked. I mean, like, as far as my hype factor was going. But next we got Black Panther, a movie that I didn't review when it came out, and I'm not looking forward to reviewing it now, if that gives you any indication of where I land with Black Panther. I don't want to lose any subscribers because I'm just going to get this out of the way. I did not care for Black Panther, and now I got to rewatch and review it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. So anyway, if you liked this review though, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Give me all the money in your bank. Give me your cell phone numbers. Put me on Facebook. I don't know, all the crazy shit that people say on here. Otherwise, this is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews saying thanks for watching this video. Thanks for all the support, and we will see you next time. Bye.